Well, guys, we're finally here. First episode of the Shut Up and Dill, Dill podcast. How excited are you?
I am super excited to be here. This has been very long awaited from all of our fans and followers. So, yeah.
Yeah, episode 1002. It's time to get started. Yeah, I'm excited too. We've had several people over the last couple of weeks kind of asking us when we're going to record, when it's going to drop. But I feel like we've done a pretty good job of trying to plan and make sure we're kind of doing things right and not rushing into it. So yeah, excited. I think we're prepared. I think that's my main thing is being prepared. So here we are, episode 1.
Yeah.
Episode 1. So I think we should kick off with, we did some brief introductions on our social pages, but I think we should be a little bit more thorough and introduce who we are and how we kind of came to pickleball.
All right.
Vivi, you're going to start
Who
us
are
off.
you?
So, I'm Vivi. I'm Jimbo's daughter. I'm originally, I've pretty much played like every sport a girl can play. Softball, volleyball, soccer, all of them. So, and I landed on tennis for a while. I played tennis from probably like early sixth grade to my freshman year. And after my freshman year, my coach kind of gave me this ultimatum telling me like, would you rather be a mediocre tennis player or like the best pickleball player? And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take that and run with it. And so that's where I am now. Just ever since, I never looked back. Pickleball.
Pickleball.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when you were young, yeah, it was soccer, volleyball, and it was all pretty small. We never like gave it a full shot, but you could. I think I think a lot of sports you can tell right away. Like this isn't for me. But yeah, I think pickleball was a little different. I think once you something about the noise and being able to just pick up a paddle and kind of just think around, and then you're moving, and then it's fun because you're getting the balls that in tennis like you normally can't get to and stuff like that. It's highly addicting. Yeah.
So, Vivi, for listeners that may not know you personally,
Okay.
kind of go into a little bit about your education and like where you're at with that and what time and space you have for pickleball because it's unique.
Yeah, so after my freshman year, when I decided that I really did want to play pickleball full time, I decided to do online school, and I started a program where I knew I was going to be able to finish like from like 6 to 18 months, and I finished up after like 9 months. So I graduated already, which gives me like a whole lot of time to play whenever I need to in the mornings, at night, during the day. Like, I don't have school, I don't have a job yet, so
Working on
so
that.
it's just pickleball.
Yeah. So who's getting to you all? Who's getting you to all those workouts and drilling?
Well, for the past 2 weeks, it's actually been me because I just got my license. But yeah, it was my
Congrats.
dad. So for a while, having to take me to practice after work every day. So
Yeah. I think the license will definitely give you a little bit of freedom, and hopefully you're disciplined enough to take time and do the workouts and do the the hits and all that stuff. So
Yeah, and it's a basis for our show, especially one of our segments, that your life is very, very different than what Jimbo and I experienced, and
Yeah.
the latitude that you have to kind of play and learn and
Yeah.
grow. And you're going to enter college and start taking college courses at 16. Just got your license and entering college. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So Jimbo, you're kind of the center point of this podcast, if you don't realize it, because. Yeah, I think so, because it's basically, a dad and his daughter and his girlfriend.
right.
So tell us a little bit about your history.
Yeah, so I played all sports growing up, football, baseball, basketball. I say all sports, but the three major sports. And then my parents were heavily involved in the racquetball community. They played some open tournaments, and I loved going to watch. I loved playing. So I got into competitive racquetball as a junior. I'm, probably younger than Vivi, probably 11, 12, 13. And it was a great workout. I mean, I would go from football practice to the racquetball courts and, really liked the fast pace of racquetball. But, once I got to my sophomore year of high school, it was just baseball. And went on to play a little bit of college baseball, third base, designated hitter, had pretty good hand-eye coordination, strong arm, whatever.
Oh, would have never guessed.
That's, some say that's the hardest thing to do in sports is hitting a fastball, but that's a conversation for another time.
I see what you did there. Okay.
But yeah, so, and then, after college, played golf. My mom and dad are both big golfers, and it was a great way to spend time with my parents and also a lot of friends. So golf was, after baseball, probably golf was my first love, of sports. Played some adult, like slow pitch softball, super competitive, super macho sport, And then it got really dangerous. Like people, it's kind of like the delaminated paddle. Guys were shaving their bats, so the core.
Oh my gosh! And like,
Yeah, so the core of the bat is a lot thinner. It just hops off. The ball hops off the bat, and I'm playing third base, so I'm 60 foot away from, whoever it is. Some construction worker. Huge guy, just trying to hit it as hard as he can at somebody. So it was a little dangerous, and just not a risk I really wanted to take, and wasn't having fun with it. And then after that, it was golf and a lot of just, kind of lost some competitiveness that I really missed. That was a big part of my life because I played sports from the time I was 4 to the time I was, 22 in college. And so my mom kept mentioning the sport pickleball, and anytime she did, we'd laugh and kind of like, what is pickleball? But I think the way I was introduced to pickleball was my brother-in-law was on a vacation in Ruidoso, New Mexico, and I think the cabin they were staying at, there was courts right behind their cabin, and those courts are where this community in Alto, New Mexico, they got together and played pickleball. And my brother-in-law was, big tennis player, but he saw him playing and walked out and watched, and they asked him to play, and he had a lot of fun with it. So when they came back from that vacation, he's like, "Man, you gotta try this." And we were fortunate enough. My parents have in their HOA, they have a pickleball court. So me and my brother-in-law would just go play singles for probably the first 3 or 4 months of, that's all I knew was. Singles, pickleball, and hitting it at the baseline. Didn't know how to come up to the net or anything, but and then started watching YouTube and talked to some people and found places to play in San Antonio and New Braunfels, and really fell in love with doubles and still play a little singles if I ever have to. But so that's how I.
Vivi's like, I'll pass on that.
That's how I found pickleball.
Okay.
And that's a little bit about my background and my pickleball history.
All right. So myself, I'll go next. So I grew up just playing sports with my dad in the backyard. So we played a lot of, I guess, softball, but particularly badminton. We played a lot of really, really aggressive badminton games, as aggressive as that can get. I played soccer competitively, and then in high school, my school didn't need soccer players. I had just transferred to a brand new high school, didn't really know anybody. The teams were really set. And one of my math teachers was like, "Hey, why don't you try out for tennis?" My dad had just gotten a job at a tennis court, and I'd hit a couple times, and I really struggled with keeping the ball in the fence. Who would imagine that? So, so she asked me to try out, and I showed up with some aluminum racket and a pair of shoes that were not in good shape. But I was fast, and they said I learned how to keep the ball in the fence by the second day, so they knew I was going to hit hard. I just needed to learn how to hit. So I started at 15 and was fortunate enough and very motivated. I fell in love with it and was very motivated and ended up playing a year at junior college and then 2 years at a university. And then I took time off, and then I came back competitively within, the USTA organization and captain teams. And then I moved here. I was in Alabama previous to Texas, and then I moved here and didn't really know anybody. I have some neck issues, so tennis just isn't in my path anymore. So I said, well, let me try to give pickleball a shot. A lot of my tennis friends were converting over, but I was a tennis purist and was like, heck no, I'm never hitting a pickleball court ever. That is the worst idea. But I ended up going out.
Is that a thing in tennis players? Like,
Yeah.
they really think it's like they're just above it, or
For sure.
yeah.
For sure. I mean, and we've talked about this a lot. The technical expertise behind tennis, it can take years, and you can be
Yeah.
mediocre at it.
Right.
You can never improve at it. So yeah, it is easy to look at pickleball and say, what is that? That's not a skilled sport. But when you play it, you realize how fast it is. The hand-eye coordination is very, very fast. And the ball doesn't bounce as high. So that's another thing, is you don't have as much time to anticipate. You don't have as much time to react. So it was definitely a thing. And I definitely had it. But went out, played for fun, and really enjoyed it. So I'm glad I did end up doing that. And I wanted to meet people. I started during the pandemic, which is when a lot of players started. I was kind of sheltered up and was like, I've got to do something. So at that time, we couldn't even touch each other's like pickleballs. We had to.
Yeah, you had to bring
like,
your own ball.
Yeah, bring your own ball, and then you couldn't like mix them.
I think that's kind of how we met. It was
Yeah.
at one of those post-COVID hits.
Well, yeah, during COVID, yeah, it was. So I think that's probably a good transition. So I do think we have to talk a little bit about who we are, Jimbo, and how we came to be. I think we should. We should. It lays the platform for the show. So yes, I think you were at one hit one time before we actually officially met. And I heard, the name Jimbo, and I was like, okay, cool. But I think we should talk a little bit about how we officially met and became partners.
Yeah.
You wanna-
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's kind of a interesting story. So yeah, it was COVID, and I think myself and a good friend, we kind of organized somewhat of an advanced hit, and I think it was kind of like bring your partner, whoever you're
was.
gonna play with, and you kind of stick with that partner throughout the hit, and yeah, we played, and I think you were there. I think we may have played against you once or twice, and I'd never, noticed you playing before, but we played against you, and I think we had trouble. Like, you had a lot of pace and just really smart on the court, and kind of opened things up, and I think towards the end of the night, maybe your partner left, and it was just a couple of courts going, and I think I asked you, hey, do you want to play? And played a couple of, I remember a couple of pretty good guys, that were, 4-0 plus, and I think we ended up beating them a couple of times, and I was like, okay, this is kind of, I think I can find a men's partner pretty easily, but mixed is, for a man, I feel like mixed it's really hard to find a women's partner. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to lock this in. And, I think I asked you, have you ever played tournaments or anything? And you're like, what? There's tournaments? And, so we, I think we kind of did some research, and I was like, okay, well, there's a tournament in a few months. And, and I think we kind of met up and hit a few times in between that and the tournament. And, the rest is history, as they say. Yeah, so, and, what's kind of interesting about our relationship is, I think it must have been about 3 years that we played mixed tournaments together, and
2018, 2020, I think it's 2 years. I think
Yeah,
it's a little bit around 2
Yeah,
years.
I don't think it's been that long.
Yeah, it's been
So-
2 years.
so and I was married at the time, right? And so
Yeah.
we might as well go ahead and get into
A
it.
lot of non-traditional situations out there, and I
is.
think that's why it's interesting. Is this is one of those?
I'm with you, and I think that's what makes our show and our dynamic interesting, right? Is I was married, and you and I played pickleball together as partners, and it was all business. Like, when are we going to drill? How long are we going to drill? What are we drilling? Like, I think you and I are both pretty good about laying out a practice session, and but as I was going through divorce, I think we were playing a tournament, and I was kind of going through it. I think my wife just kind of, we kind of just both decided, sorry, ex-wife, both decided like, hey, this is not going to work, and I think we had a tournament scheduled somewhere in between all of that, and we just kind of had a hard time. Like you and I, like we were both kind of going through some stuff, and
Yeah.
chemistry was kind of bad on the court, and I think we said, hey, like, we're both going through some stuff. Let's just have fun.
You're right.
And
yeah.
it really worked out. We played a couple of matches after that, and we just had a lot of fun. Won some matches, and got back kind of on the winner side of that bracket or whatever. And anyways, went on, and I don't think I mentioned to you at the time, like, hey, I'm going through this divorce. But several months later, I think I came out to you and said, hey, because you knew Kalina. I mean, you guys were.
Ooh, we're name dropping. Whoa.
Sorry.
Not like anybody can't find it. They can find
Yeah.
us. And,
I mean,
yeah.
you knew my ex-wife, and you knew Vivi, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think in my mind I was just kind of like, hey, we make a great team on the court. We have a lot of fun, and I think we were drilling one night. I know we were drilling one night, and I said, hey, once all this dust settles, like, do you mind if I maybe take you to dinner or something like that outside of pickleball? Go get a
This
coffee
is
or something.
maybe the first time that Vivi's hearing this.
Vivi
Yeah,
probably,
yeah.
And-
No, I have my own side of the story too. That we
Oh,
can,
yeah,
yeah.
So and we did that. Like once everything was clear, I think we went and had coffee, and then I think Vivi and my ex-wife, we have 50% custody. So Vivi's with me 1 week, and then she's with her mother another week. So I think the non-weeks, one of those weekends, I think me and you actually went out and on a Friday night, and I think it was pickleball and dinner or something like that. And
It's like a really beautiful day.
Well, one time we did tennis, pickleball, and dinner. That was
Yeah, that's
an
a long
incredible. That was
So that's-
an ideal day.
that's kind of my I don't know. That's the way everything kind of
That's
resonates
your
in-
side.
in my mind.
So-
Yeah, that's my side.
So mine is that, I did, obviously meet you at a hit. And then we played, I'll be honest, in tennis, when you play mixed, this is a thing. You need to find partners that are, I hate to say it, but they're going to stay faithful, right? If they're married, and you're married, and you are totally just partners, and that's it. There's a lot of singles, so you try to avoid that, because then that could get a little tricky, right? So one of the things I always respected about you as a partner is that I knew you were very, very dedicated to your marriage. So like, I remember literally for 2 years, I don't think we physically ever touched each other. We would throw the ball at each other. We we didn't
Tap a
like
paddle.
tap a paddle. Like it would, I don't even think we gave high fives. Like
Yeah.
we didn't, and I respected Jimbo incredibly, a lot, because this is a deal.
Yeah.
In mix. So
I hate to interrupt, but like you're right. I remember playing before we met, I played a tournament and played mixed and like won gold. And I remember after the championship match or after the championship point, like my mixed partner like running to hug me, and I'm like, oh, is this okay?
No, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, you're very, very loyal. So I really appreciated it for the 2 years that we were just partners. I was in a relationship, as a long distance relationship, and both of those kind of ended. We both hit rough patches and kind of ended at the same time. So it was one of those things that aligned really well. So yeah, it worked out, but
So, okay, no.
No?
So, I'm just curious because you went to the first hit that I met you at.
goodness, yes, I know where we're going.
No. Can we talk about who you showed up with?
No, we're not going to talk about who I showed up with. We're not going to name drop that,
No, I know
right?
we're not name
So, but yes, at the time that the first hit came to be, because we love to talk about this story, there was a gentleman, a guy, that was, wanted to date, and he took me to the hit. He is a player or was a player, I don't know. So he took me to the hit. At that time, I was, also considering dating an individual I knew from my past in Alabama. So all of it was happening at the same time, and I met Jimbo at that hit. And I remember sticking around after the hit and like enjoying it, having fun, and I rarely do that. If the person that brought me or invited me leaves, normally I leave. I'm not a very social person. I'm kind of introverted, so normally I leave. But I stuck around that night and got to know you and some of the other players, so I'm happy that I did. But if I wouldn't have stuck around, we may not have ever become partners.
That's right.
Yeah. So Vivian, we've got a few minutes. Do you have?
Yeah, no, I have a few like big points.
You good?
Yeah. So one hit at Fit, I remember I obviously went with my dad, and you were there, and he introduced you to me or me to you, and he was like, okay, this is my mixed partner. And I don't know if you remember this, but this did stick with me for a while.
Oh no.
No, I'm sure you know. We like kind of chit chatted,
Okay.
and we were in the like middle of a conversation, and you like turned around and left.
Oh no, I don't remember that.
Yeah, and it was kind of like at that point I was like, no, like this isn't gonna work, no, and that stuck with me for like a really long time. I was like, no, I don't like this. Like her vibes are off.
This is when we were
I can be
just
chilly,
playing- this
like,
is-
I
this
can
is
be
just when we
salty.
were playing pickleball.
Yeah.
This was prior.
Yeah, this was like just when y'all were partners, but like still, I'm like, I don't like her, no, you know.
Yeah.
Never comes to a surprise to me. I am not the most I'm very awkward when you first meet me. And if there's a lull in the conversation at all, I will evacuate as
Yeah.
fast as possible. And it's just because I'm uncomfortable. And I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I don't know how to carry on the conversation. I still do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, let me move on.
Yeah, and I guess it's even like weirder because I was probably like 14 at the time, so it's like a 14-year-old like
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
You know, how are you? I mean, I get it, but once again, I was like 14, so like I have a right to be mad about anything I want to. But yeah, being like, I guess like I didn't know a lot. I never really like talked to you after that moment that we had. So I didn't like know, like I was like, and obviously like my mom was like, I don't like this situation, whatever.
Yeah.
So I only got like a one like good like side of it. So I like was on her side. But now that like y'all have been playing together for like a while, like I know that's not who you are, and obviously I know that's not like what my dad is, but like I guess it's gone like pretty normal, and it's like fine. It's like it's like so old now, so that's where I'm at right now. But
Good.
yeah,
Yeah, well, good. So all of that to bring us to why are we doing a podcast? How did Shut Up and Dill come to be? And I stress dill because I am Southern and I tend to say it incorrectly. So apologies to our listeners.
well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like this. Well, one, this can bring us closer, like as a group. And two, I don't know. It was super random. It was like on a random weekday night. We just kind of were like, what if we started a podcast? We had like pizza. We were just.
That was y'all too, because I think I came home. I think y'all were.
Vivi did it.
Y'all spent the day together, and I
Yeah.
came home, and
Yeah.
they're like, Nikki and Vivi are like, hey, I think we're gonna start a podcast, and we're gonna do it in this room. And I was like, really? Okay. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about it. Because it sounded fun.
Oh, no. Let's not. No, you ran at the choice.
No, you
you
really
were like
did. We were like,
sprinting.
what's the name? What are we gonna do?
You went
was not.
sprinting. No. You went sprinting because
I
she
don't-
idly said it to me. We were in the house. I want to say you were near the pantry and you were like, we should do a podcast. And I was like,
You
"Man,
think it was me who said that?
It was you who said it. I know it was because then I was like, man, I've always thought about doing a podcast, but really on my full-time job,
Yeah.
which is recruiting. But then when you got you I think kind of lit kerosene on whatever fire was there. You were like, let's
know. I
do
don't-
this. Let's not. Oh, I have
don't
texts
remem-
where you're like, let's not let this go.
Yeah.
we were going.
Well, no, because I think we're all pretty good at having some great ideas, and then just
never mind.
we're busy.
Like squishy pickle and ice cream pickle sandwiches.
Stuff my pickles.
Don't give away great ideas, guys.
But yeah, I think I do remember coming home and or meeting up with y'all, and y'all mentioned a podcast, and I was like, yeah, because I listen to a lot of podcasts or watch a lot of podcasts. Not a lot, but there's certain that I listen to, and they all come from pros, and or it's technical drilling and
Yeah.
which is great. I think there's, plenty of people looking to, find out what's going on with the pros and some of the, some of
Yeah.
the gossip, some of the tea, as the young kids say. Or, just situations with, tour wars and everything like that. And I think that's, I think it's great. There's a lot of people that want to hear it. And then there's videos where you can find, how to hit your dinks or,
Yeah.
how to hit, how to reset the ball. And that's all great too. And I think we can bring a lot of that as well. I mean, we're all pretty experienced and have our own ideas of how to hit certain shots and strategize. But I think what some of the podcasts that I'm missing and some of the stuff I've listened to in the past is not necessarily X's and O's, but, just kind of like what it's like in in
amateur
real
life.
life. Yeah, the amateur life. The people that are working full time and spending a lot of money on the weekends to go to a tournament,
Yeah.
and you get a little bit of rain, and now you're 1 game to 11, no back draw, and
Yeah.
Rally scoring.
rally scoring tape.
So we're
tape
really,
lines.
yeah.
So and I think I would think a lot of our viewers are kind of in the same boat, and and we're looking to share that experience. Now, what does make us a little different is just kind of what we've been talking about is
The non-traditional.
non-traditional. Like
Yeah.
I'll play mixed with my daughter, but then I'll also play mixed with my girlfriend, and then my girlfriend's playing mixed with her, dad's daughter.
Playing women's with, yeah.
It's just very
Yeah.
women's. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I think a lot of people that we've met are kind of like they look at us and try to figure out
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah,
you know?
but I
So-
think beyond that, I think just the non-traditional situation of divorce in the household. I'm divorced with 2 kids as well. They're not part of the show, but they might be in segments, right?
Right,
Ask
yeah.
Olivia. So, yeah, I think all of it kind of led us to, wait, this is a little bit different.
Yeah.
So our goal is really to share our amateur experience and, tips and trips along the way, but have fun, be silly.
Yeah.
We've come up with 6 segments, 6 special segments that you can find on all of our social sites, but we're going to do 2 of them today. So we need to kick off those. So the first segment that we're going to do is called Challenge Court.
Yeah.
And Vivi is going to be the one to kind of explain it and kick us off.
So Challenge Court is really fun. It's like how, you go to like specific open play and they have like a challenge court. And like when you're a beginner, all you want to do is play on the challenge court with more skilled people. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about is like our goals, like how, like our specific challenge courts and what we want to do better. So, yeah.
Okay. So are you gonna kick
Yeah.
us off? We're
So-
interested in all
What's your
your.
challenge court?
Yeah. So, my challenge court is
My challenge court.
like, I guess I'm not sure if I want to be too like technical about this, and if like it's gonna be more like personal or like physical. I
No,
guess, in a
no,
way.
I think that's
But-
why we're doing this.
Any-
We wanna-
anything.
we
Well,
wanna know.
yeah. So I guess something that I've been working on for like ever since I started playing is like I obviously was a tennis player, and my coach always taught me like big C
Oh, the high C. Oh,
or not, big C,
Yeah.
huge
Yes.
backswing, huge follow through. So I still do that when I drive, when I drop. When I drop, I like do the most extra thing ever. I like whip my hand, I lift my leg, I'm doing a move. I'm doing a dance move. So I'm just really working on like shortening those up, making sure like it's more efficient. I want a more efficient swing.
Yeah.
And so I've been working on that for a really long time. I feel like that's something I just need to like hit over and over and over again and not just like when I play like sometimes think about it and sometimes try to shorten that swing. I just really need to like hit like a ball machine and like
yeah.
hit.
Yeah, it's got
hit.
to muscle memory. It's got to become.
Yeah.
It's
natural,
It's gotta
but-
become natural. I think you've probably hit so many tennis balls that the high C or
gosh,
big C
yeah.
is natural.
Just from a timing perspective, we talked about this. From
Yeah.
a timing
Yeah.
perspective, it's very different to go from a high C to a straight pullback. I had to do it when I transitioned into college because as you get bigger hitters, you don't have time for all
Right.
of that. And
Yeah.
in pickleball, you have time and space that's already compromised. So
Sure.
having that, yeah, it's a
No,
good goal to have.
I think I've taken a couple of clinics and, I remember one of the pros that I took a clinic with was, he just showed me his backswing on his drops and his drives, and there is like, that paddle really doesn't ever go past his thigh.
Yeah.
Like, it stays in front.
like
It's so
impossible for
short
me.
and-
Yeah.
It's literally
I think-
impossible.
I think anybody that watches like you play or me play, like especially when we're missing shots, it's like, man, if you can just shorten
Yeah,
that
just
swing,
shorten it.
Yeah.
especially the nice, the little mini overheads and the putaways, like you get too big there, it travels too long or it goes into the net. So
Yeah.
I think
It's a
that's
good goal.
That's a
Yeah.
good goal. Yeah. Anybody,
what you
anybody listening, if you got any tips and trips for Vivi there, shortening the swing.
We take all tips and tricks. So Jimbo, what do you have?
What's your challenge court?
What's your challenge court?
Well, kind of been watching some Major League Pickleball, and I notice a lot of the pros, and I notice it with myself on the court, but a lot of it's body language, it's negative energy. I know the effects. I know. It brings the partner down. It can shut them out really quick. My biggest challenge and my biggest goal I think I'm setting is just to become a better partner, and really just trying to stay in a positive mindset when things are crashing or when I'm not making the shots or my partner's not making the shots. Just knowing that, hey, like we're gonna figure this out. Like it's not over. We're gonna figure it out. Keep your head up, push through, all those things. And I say it like that, but it's really true. Like, once I'm just the type of player, like once I get in here, it can really make things really bad for myself and for my partner. Because I play with Vivi quite a bit, and I play with you, obviously, Nikki, quite a bit. And, I think both you guys feed off positive energy.
Yeah.
And you feed off negative energy also, but in a different way.
Yeah.
So, that is my challenge court, is just to be a better partner. And like I said, I mentioned I've been watching, I watch a lot of pickleball, and you can see it. I'm easy to identify it when I'm watching it. You know, it's not as easy when it's happening on the court for
Yeah.
me. Like, it's like, you know, it's not a big deal. Like, I'm just, you know, I shrugged my shoulders, big deal. But then you see it on the court, and you're like, man, he's like, you know, they're really giving off some bad energy, you know. And it's amazing what positive energy can do. Like, positive thoughts before the point, just kind of resetting your mind, seeing that ball go over the net or seeing that serve really deep, just kind of envisioning positive things before they actually happen.
Okay, that's a good goal. I appreciate that goal personally. I have appreciation for that goal personally. So my challenge court, it is no, well, I don't mince words about it. I'm not playing the best I've ever played right now. And I, sorry, my percentages are kind of low right now. So that's my goal, is to increase just the percentage of shots I'm making in the court. Not make it fancy, not make it difficult, increase, you know, we used to have the saying whenever serving is 80% have to go in the box. Like,
Right.
only miss 20%. So 80%. So that's my goal, is to get up to at least 80% of the shots that you're selecting. They've got to go in. You know, that 20%, maybe they go out because you're going for something too big, but 80% of the balls, you got to make them, and you got to make the right choice. So
Yeah.
that's mine.
I think that's really good. I think that's a good goal. It's a good challenge.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've talked to a lot of smart pickleball players, longtime tennis players, and when they settle into a tournament, like first match, first game, it's like everything's in the middle. Like, let's get in a groove. Let's make a lot of balls.
Yeah.
Let's let them make a mistake, because I mean we're at a level where it's getting tough. You know, we're 4-5, like dabbling in 5-0 stuff, and balls are going to come back, but still, I mean, the more you make them hit, the more chance there is that they're gonna make a mistake, or you're gonna get that pop up that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that. I really appreciate that challenge court as well.
Of course you do.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez.
Oh, geez.
So, so we are obviously new at podcasting, right? And this was kind of our 002, how we're getting kicked off and how we're getting started. So we want to be able to do 2 segments in each podcast,
Yeah.
but we have run over time. So we're going to have to do just the one for this one.
All right.
And sorry, guys. But we don't
get
want
to
an
hear-
hour and a half.
We don't get
Yeah.
to hear anybody go off today. It's so
I know,
nice.
it's not fun.
I actually had a
so-
lot to say. I had a lot more to say. I guess I'll have to keep y'all a little bit on the edge of your seat.
Yeah. So, so we will have 6 different segments that we can choose from. We'll do them in a fun way of selecting.
I think we're gonna get a wheel.
We
somewhere
are.
on the
We're gonna
wall.
create one. Let's not. Let's
Yeah,
let's just
sorry,
let it
guys.
happen.
More to
Let's
come.
let it happen. 'Cause-
More to come.
and so you know, he pointed at the wall, and we are going to be putting not just podcasts, but we will have YouTube videos as well. So. So for those that can't see what he just did, we will have videos on YouTube as well. So, but we really appreciate everyone listening in to our first, learning a little bit about us. We will drop at least every 2 weeks a new episode. We do it mainly when we have Vivi around us, so gotta have her here.
Part of the show.
Yeah. She's a very important part of the show.
Yeah,
So,
extremely.
you can check us out on a lot of the social channels. So Facebook,
TikTok, Instagram.
we have a website coming.
We have a website coming.
And we do have a YouTube channel as well.
You can email us too.
email us
at
at-
shutupandillpodcast@gmail.com.
gmail.com. That's right. So whether you play often or just a little, whether you play competitively or for fun, Shut Up and Dill is here for you to learn about the amateur experience, and we really appreciate y'all listening in.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
everyone.
Thanks.